Hello, 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 and welcome to the $1 Million Electrician Podcast, where we help home service pros like you supercharge your business and spark up those sales.
I'm Joseph Lucani, and together with my co-host, Clay Newmeyer, we're here to share the secrets that have helped electricians sell over $1 million from a single service van.
Now, it's time for sales. It's time for scale. It's time to become $1 million electrician.
Today, we are going to be talking about service that scales, which might sound really simple, but I was just talking to someone the other day and talking about just how terrible customer service is. Like, we're getting a pool built in our backyard right now because we've literally just nothing but dirt. Like, if you're familiar with Arizona, there's no vegetation. So we had to do something with our backyard, and obviously it's already in the upper 90s here today when we're recording this. So we're getting a pool built, and the GC sucks at communication. We actually had to have him come over to the house and yell at him because he literally won't tell us when someone's coming. We have 3 dogs, a cat, like all this stuff going on in our house, plus just different things with the kids. And I have no idea when he's coming, who's coming, when they're leaving. Should I put the dogs away, or do you want my pit bull running after you? I don't think they want the pit bull running after you. We've had a lot of contractors over the years do work back in our house in Wisconsin. I had an electrician. You guys will love this, and I'll let you guys introduce yourself. In Wisconsin, when I first started Relentless Digital, we didn't really do anything in our basement. It was kind of cold. Basements up in the north, they're always kind of cold and dingy unless you really kind of build them out. We got lights installed so that way we could build my office down there. And this guy never told us when he was coming. He just showed up one day, didn't give us a price ahead of time. He cut holes in the ceiling, and he did fine there. Didn't vacuum the floor. It was carpet. Just left a mess. Didn't tell us he was leaving. Just sent us an invoice later. No review link. No, how did I do? Nothing. I mean, he was very cheap, of course, because the type of service we got. But that stuff happens a lot. And I think the Facebook you guys see and we surround ourselves with, there's really great operators that operate in that space. And they're the ones that are really engaged with all that stuff. But there's so much of the industry, home service, whether it's electrical, HVAC, plumbing, they don't even know a lot of this stuff exists and how to really raise the level. And I've been chatting with you guys for probably over a year and a half now.
Yeah,
already.
a year and a half.
A little bit, yeah.
Yeah, and paying attention to your guys' Facebook group and the success stories you guys have had, and I definitely wanted to bring you guys on. So with that said, we're interviewing Clay and Joseph from Service Loop Electrical today. So I'll let you guys introduce yourself, and we'll get started.
You know what? I'll start out just by saying thank you for having us here. We had Josh on our podcast, $1 Million Electrician. We had a great time, great discussion. So thanks for having us, Josh. And I'll just explain.
I'll figure out how I'm going to get you guys center stage here. I don't usually press the buttons, so
now we're set.
This actually works. I'm totally down with this view.
I don't know what I'm doing. If you're watching this, I'm sorry.
Brady Bunch.
Tersh usually presses the buttons, and I don't know what the hell he normally does, but we'll figure it out.
We'll get that part. So Service Loop literally stands for that little bit extra for future serviceability. And it sounds easy, but it's actually hard. As you noted, that's why so few people do it. The path of least resistance is an electrical term we use often. And just like all electricians do this, all service providers do this, often we find ourselves in shortcuts from just treating the person in front of us like we want our own mother to be treated. And without boring you guys on the details, the sneak preview of all of this is, of course, we're a couple of master electricians with business addictions helping electricians serve at the highest level, but this stuff applies to everyone. The banker, butcher, candlestick maker, and everyone in between. They all tend to be falling short of service. And so I keep saying, at a time where AI is really gripping and it's taken its hold, and we're all excited at the next shiny object to maybe answer the phones for us or to DM for us in the chats to remove another friction point where we ourselves have to serve. I want this episode to be a call to action for those of you true to heart service providers. Like King George IV said, the highest form of distinction is service to others. And Joe, I want to tag you in because you have a similar story that you need to share about your floor in the basement.
Oh my God, I love that.
Appalling.
You're triggering some PTSD here, but here, let me dive into it. So similar to you, Josh, I ended up going with a cheaper contractor. One of the reasons why I was laughing when you started, yeah, naturally, right? So you know how you're talking about how basements can be dingy and all that? I'm in a basement office that I absolutely love because I put so much into it to make it really comfortable. But one thing that I really regret is going cheap on the floor. What ended up happening was we went for a provider and he put everything in. And about like 2 months later, we started noticing some cracks between the boards. Like, okay, maybe it's a little bit, maybe it's one spot. And they started appearing in different places on my floor. And I reached out to him like, hey, this is happening. And he's like, well, I didn't do it. It's not anything I did. Just so you know, it's not anything I did. I was like, okay, but what do we do about it? He's like, well, you're going to have to submit a warranty reclaim the manufacturer. I'm like, well, I bought it from you. He's like, yeah, but you're the customer. So you're going to have to go. And so I called the manufacturer and they said, well, you need the receipt. So I had to go back to the guy and be like, can I have the receipt for the floor? And he goes, oh, I don't have the receipt. I don't know where it was. I'll have to find it. So then I come like this back and forth and I'm finding like, listen, like I've paid you several $1,000s to do this. This is not a small investment of what we've done. So you've been here for a long time. Is there anything you can do? He's like, yes, I could sell you a new floor if you'd like. I can come back and we could just tear it up and we can just do a whole new floor if you want. And I'm like, that's not what we're going to do. So yeah. So I literally had to like say that, no, it's not what we're going to do. Not going to happen. It's a shame because I'd like to have a nice clean floor, but I also don't like being screwed by contractors. So my pride decided to let it not happen.
I don't think it's really, I mean, there's stories where it's it seems like it's intentional where guys just try to sell something that they don't need and whatnot. A situation like that, it probably doesn't sound like that. Just the guy doesn't know what he's doing. He's not serving. He's just, you asked for a floor. He gave you a floor. It was a cheap price. And he just moves on to he just keeps moving on to the next job and he doesn't keep his receipts, doesn't keep any of the stuff that actually a great operator would keep. So that way the service is 5-star.
This is the cool part though. And this is how it actually ties specifically to this episode. I love doing renovations to my home. I love it. It makes me so happy. I do the electric, I do the walls, I do a lot to it. This next project we're taking on is going to be substantial. We're putting on additions to the home. We're renovating rooms. We're putting a lot into the home. And I want to almost call him and be like, hey, we've got a 6-figure project we're going to be taking on. And I want you to know that you won't be getting it because of what happened to the floor. Hope you have a great day. Go F yourself. Take care. You know what I mean? Like, but that's the thing. He could have gotten all this extra work because I've done so much to my home and I could have had him be my consistent guy every single time. But because he dropped the ball on service, which could have been as simple as sending a tech out and just putting some floors in, he's lost substantial continuous income. Plus, yeah.
The thing that's crazy is he doesn't even know. He doesn't even know he lost that work. He just goes, pays the marketing company or Google or Facebook to go get more leads because he needs more leads because he can't find enough business in his current customer database.
Clay, remember a customer that I was talking about who bought a maintenance and then ended up going and upgrading? So you're one Joe. My partner and I we're broke as a joke. And we're just handing out door hangers, going to neighborhoods that are high impact for generators. And all it was just door hangers for maintenance agreements for generators. I sold one agreement on one day of a walk. And the guy had me maintain a generator that he had installed by someone else. And every single year, he would call us back for this maintenance because we would sell the next year in advance. And every year, he would add a little bit to it. Like, well, I need something inside the home, a little bit. And about 5 years went by. And the generator that we kept telling him was going to eventually fail. It completely shit the bed. And what ended up happening was we were able to sit down and present him a whole suite of options from a complete, like, let's upgrade everything. Let's make your home office good. Let's really put in a system down to like, I'll just put in what you have. But we had so much rapport over that 5-year period of time. He bought my top option without even really worrying about it. And it was 20,000 plus. So you think about going back, it was a free door hanger, a $238 maintenance at the time, but just kept leading to more and more and more work. And he kept referring me and being a great testimony all through those years. So it doesn't matter how small it is. It matters the intention that you put behind it and how well you can keep up with it.
By the way, guys, we've got a ton of good stuff, and this is going to lead to pricing shortly. And we've got this awesome value piece for anyone that wants help with their pricing. So please stick around. I want to go back to this impatient game for a sec. Josh, let me ask you a question. You probably have a regular fuel station that you go to put petrol in your vehicle, truck, car, whatever it is. But what happens if when you're driving by, you see a lineup at the pump that you need? Do you go and wait in line, or do you go to the next station?
I would usually go to the next one.
And me too. And most people answer that the same way. It's again this little rush thing that we're doing, rushing through life, trying to get the most results in the
That's probably
fastest
not going to
amount of
save
time.
me time.
No. So there's two ways to go with this, but I'm going to share a key strategy that I would use if I owned a gas station. And this is actually something that's also built really off of Alex Hormozi's value driver framework. It's something that we accept to be true. There's a few things that we need to control. We want to increase desired outcome. Josh wants fuel and faster time, right? We want to limit the risk. Well, the current risk is that Josh would have to wait, and then there's no telling how much time this person takes. The negatives on the bottom we're trying to remove entirely are time delay, which we just spoke to. You don't want to wait. That hurts you. That's pain in your life. And you don't want effort and sacrifice. So as an example of that at the gas station, what if this guy then goes in for snacks after he's done fueling and gets some chips and maybe orders a coffee, and that takes a few minutes. And now you've got to back your vehicle up and go to another pump. This is all super painful to you in a general experience, right?
I'm with you there.
So let me solve this very quickly. Some gas station owners might say, well, what we need is faster pumps because I'll have less lines and I'll invest in the faster pump. And that's the way a lot of electricians and other service providers think about their business. Well, maybe I make the team faster, right? If we could just do our services faster. But there's actually another way to solve this problem. What if I put a meter above the pump that communicated how full or what percentage complete that person filling up was? And when you were driving by, you noticed, hey, it's at 90% full. The next spot's open. Now would you drive to the next gas station?
You know what's funny? Costco actually does not the percentage, but and I don't know if they do this for all of them, but I know the one here, when you get in line, there's four in a row, and there's probably 6 or 8 rows. But they have, just like some parking garages have this too. Actually, I've seen this at airports in the bathroom. Like there's a little green or red light above. So like when it's in use, the red light goes on. It's not open. It's the same thing with the gas pump where it's, because then I know like, oh, I'm not going to go in that line. I'm going to go in this one over here because this one's got a green one, the second out of fourth slot, and I can slide in. So very similar to what you were saying that regardless, I know Costco's gotten into politics lately, but regardless, the operation of their business is one of the best in all of business. They understand why the hot dog is $1.99 to bring people in because they buy a bunch of other things. Even though they're losing money on that, they understand the concept of those sorts of things that cause pain. And then they get people in the door, and then we go buy $300 worth of stuff every time we're there because we need water and food and everything else.
We're going to learn so much from Costco because there's another way they help too. But in this case, what did we change? Just the communication. All I did was communicate with the customer better.
Yeah, same pump, same station. They didn't move anything. They didn't add any pumps. They didn't make it any faster. This was available sooner. Might be okay to wait in line because they're at 90% full.
So how do we implement that in our service business? We slow down. We commit ourselves to full communication when it counts. And we do the right thing by the customer in front of us and ignore everything else during that time because it doesn't matter right now. And so you mentioned like a friend Ren and smaller guys that are overwhelmed. Well, I had a mentor explain, and in fact, it's a question he asked me. He said, Clay, do you think that how you do one thing is how you do everything? And it was at that point I realized, holy crap, I'm doing a lot of stuff really shitty.
You're busy being busy.
I was not having a great impact anywhere. And I was willingly walking into that every single day of the week, overwhelmed, not sleeping well, and my customers were confused. Does that sound familiar to anyone?
Well, and I feel like this gets into, and I told you guys we'd talk about this because this is I see it a lot. I'm sure you guys do. I'm sure a lot of people that serve contractors see this. But the problem is we don't price ourselves properly in order to make a profit so we can actually sit there and take our time with the customer in front of us. Because if we don't price ourselves properly, the only other way for us to win is on volume. That means we have to do more jobs. So instead of maybe 3 or 4 jobs for your electricians, we got to do 6 or 8. We got to speed it up so we can make more dollars because our profit is too low. And I know you guys, this is like one of the first things I think you guys talk about with anyone I've ever seen come into your group or your program. So I'd love to hear your guys' take on like how you guys approach that conversation to get people to start really looking inward, because starting out when you're small is a lot easier to fix your pricing than when you're bigger and you have a big team and bloated overhead and all these sorts of things. Like fixing this stuff early allows for growth. It allows for marketing. It allows to go get more customers. It allows for time to hire people. It allows for a lot of, I'll call it luxuries, because you've set yourself up for success.
I think first and foremost, the analogy of the boat really helps. You can see ships at bay. If you're just starting out, your ship's at the dock. And if you've been out there for a while, we'll come back in. Let's pull into the dock for a second. How many holes are in your boat? Are you bleeding right now? You know what I mean? More month at the end of the money than money at the end of the month. Things aren't adding up. It's time to come to dock and assess this. Because being out there bailing the boat every minute of every day, that's that busy stuff. It's not adding up. And we keep telling ourselves out of fear that everyone else is priced the same. And usually we priced ourselves off of the last employer, or we mystery shopped someone and just used their rate and then wonder why the money's not adding up. We talked about value earlier. Now we're talking about pricing. The truth is we need to flip our priorities and prioritize learning value articulation and service and how to structure and systematically price in a way that you literally give choices and they will choose you. And once in a while, as Joe's become the expert of creating these choices, these solutions, once in a while, they'll choose you at your best. And there's no better feeling than someone choosing you at your best, except for this one thing. When you hire and train someone to work for you and they get chosen at your best, when you weren't even there, you were filming a podcast here, Joe.
That's how you get the business to work for you, not with you in it all the time.
I really do agree with you guys. It's amazing how sometimes the slowing down is actually what allows you to be better. Like I've always viewed it as we're great electricians. Like we all consider ourselves great electricians. And then those same great electricians find themselves not having work. And it's like, why aren't you having work? It's not because you're not a good person or you're not good a worker. It's that if you can't communicate what makes you better in a way that the customer can understand and see value in, they have no reason to pay more to hire you. So if you can make sure that you've slowed your process down so that they can see it, you're actually spending more effective time, because in that situation, now they can choose you willingly, not only now, but they can see the difference between you and your competitor. And the difference between you and your competitor isn't just in skill. It's in saying, I can serve you in a way that you can appreciate and understand. And it's a consistent, safe bet every time.
You likely started business for two reasons. You wanted more money for your time and you wanted more control of your time. And ironically,
there might be a third. They might just be unemployable.
They might be unemployed. That happens too. We've seen that happen. But the reality is you end up with less sleep, less time, and less money than you ever had before because you don't have any skills yet. So, number one, what do I need to earn to pay the bills so that, as we say in our values, health, family, then business? Mm-hmm. Josh, if your health is crap, I know you're working out. I'm seeing your videos, hearing about all the stuff you're doing. Mm-hmm. Why is that? Why do you prioritize your health?
Ever since I started, like, honestly, I would get through days before I started this journey. Mm-hmm. Just crap. Just like I would push through it. Like everyone, it's like, oh, you just got to keep, this is life, right? This is as good as it's going to get. You just got to push through it. It's normal, right? You hear that stuff until you start working out and you start eating right and you start taking some supplements because your body needs some different stuff. Now I feel like a freaking king. Like I can just keep working and I don't have to stop. When I work, I can actually give it 100%. I'm not like, oh man, I'm just like dreading doing this thing. Biggest thing too, like Monday, I had one of those days where we were training for the Spartan race. We did 5 miles, hour-long session at Augment, which was compression therapy, sauna, cold, hot, cold, hot, cold. And then we were outside for 3 hours in 90-degree temps at a soccer game. And then Monday, I was just like not feeling it at all. Cancel my appointments. And I literally just knew but because we've set ourselves up in the business where we have people that do things, we price ourselves right. We took the time to fix the processes of the business. I took the day off for the most part. I still answered some stuff, but I took the day off and I just recuperated. And now yesterday was Tuesday, today, Wednesday. I feel great and I feel awesome, but I'm able to do that. And a lot of people they can't take a day off. I literally I put out a post, and sorry, I'm like totally getting.
That's
I'm
okay.
getting back to
It's
you.
all good.
I'm keeping track. I'm ready.
I'm glad. Keep me on track. But this is why I'm glad Church isn't here. He can't yell at me. He can't mute me either. But I put out a post about like, if you lost your business, what would you do? And some people are like, oh, start it over again. And one guy said, take a vacation. I said, why can't you do that now? I'm too busy. That was his reply. And I'm like, then you don't own a business. The business, you own a job because you constantly have to be working.
Yeah.
You should be able to take time away, and your business should still flourish and grow. And you should
Mhm.
still have a team that's able to sell at the different options like Joseph talked about.
Mhm.
But I think everyone's too busy. Well, then all of a sudden you're either divorced, you're 50, 60 years old, and your body hurts and you've done nothing. You've never traveled. You've never experienced life. Your health is crap. And we're just in this cycle of like, no, that's just life. That's how it goes. That's how it goes, right? And I feel like we just accept mediocrity with our life when in reality we work to live. To your guys' point about health, family
and business.
Then business. Yep. You nailed it, man. And that's it. So if your health falls apart, so does your family. If your family falls apart, so does your business. There's no other way. So we prioritize you paying yourself enough to survive that, because this is going to be a grind for a bit. Let's not sugarcoat it. What premium service really is I'm going to quiet my own needs for a moment to focus on a person across from me. And for that reason, we can do incredible things. So the first thing in the pricing framework is, what do I need to earn? That needs to go in my burdens right now. And that's step 2. What are the burdens? What are the costs of business today? As it stands, what do I got to pay? How do I run this? What's my overhead? What are my costs of goods sold? That all has to be baked into this calculation. Next step is growth. Most people don't factor this in. You might be driving a caravan still. You might be that fresh, or you might have 2 vans. But if you're not everywhere that you want to be today, then you need to be priced differently, because guess what? Newsflash, guys, you don't need a loan. You don't need investors to be successful in service business. You need confidence and value articulation. And if you set those systems up right, then that means that you're pricing for growth as well. So if the vision you have in mind includes a shop, then start charging for a shop. There's no reason to wait until you have the shop to then decide, oh, the magical day came where money just magically appeared and now I can afford this thing. You've got to live a life by your design or you'll fall into someone else's.
Is there some sort of exercise or questions that you guys ask someone to like think that stuff? Because I think a lot of times people just get started because we talked about maybe they didn't want to work for someone else, or they thought they could do it better, or maybe they just were unemployable. They start a business, they open it up. Well, I'm going to charge $95 an hour because that's what they charged at the last company. I have no idea what 6 months looks down the line looks like, 12 months, 24 months, like a shop. Like it's like a pipe dream, right? Because I've not even thought about it yet. Are there questions you guys ask people that when you guys go through this pricing conversation that like get them thinking, kind of get that creative juices flowing?
Honestly, it's as simple as, what do you want? I mean, everyone's got to be able to answer this question. And honestly, if you can't answer it, then I would take a vacation like the suggestion the last guy mentioned, Josh, because I don't know about you, but that's where I have my clearest thinking. When I'm away from everything, just focused in the afternoon on the sun hitting my skin, or on the book in front of me, or listening to a podcast. Maybe it's this, listening to an audiobook. All of that just inspires me to be something greater. And I use that to get clear on what it is I want next. It's as simple as that. You can readjust this plan, and we suggest you revisit your pricing twice a year at least.
How often should we be asking ourselves those questions? Because like I know this is March, it's April. Good Lord, the year's already flying. 2025 is flying.
That it is.
By the time this gets released, it'll probably be sometime in the summer. Should we be revisiting what we want once a year, twice a year, every month? I know there's probably no perfect answer, but what would you guys say to that?
I have
there is.
Oh, go ahead, Clay. Sorry.
Let me just say this, Joe, and I'm going to tag you right in.
Sure. No problem.
You mentioned Dan Sullivan earlier, and Ben Hardy and the book. What was it called again, Josh?
10X is easier than 2X.
I haven't read that book, but I know Ben Hardy and Dan Sullivan, and what he committed to was writing a book every quarter until he got to 25 books. That's Strategic Coach is the company that he owns, massive group coaching company, and they work on something called power quarters, and that's a philosophy that we believe in too. Every quarter, we come back to the drawing board and look at what's next. Joe, you're up, brother. Thanks for the patience.
So I almost have a slightly different approach of what you can ground yourself on. And for me, it's what is your why? And is your why bigger than your why not? The reason why I say that is I remember keeping a picture of my wife and my infant daughter at the time right on my dash of my van. And every call, I looked at them and I was like, I have to provide for them. This is something I have to do. I don't care how late it is. I don't care how hard it is. They're right there. They're my everything. They're my life. And it was my grounding moment to say, that's why I'm going to work so hard. And if you put your faith behind what you're doing, your faith can override your fears. And once you're a man without fears, you're unstoppable. It's crazy because if you think about what the end result is that I never want my wife to think I'm treating my clients better than her. I don't ever want her looking at it and saying, I would trade the money to have you, because that's the wrong direction. That means I failed as a person. I want the people closest to me to say, yeah, he worked hard, but man, did he make time for us. And if you can go down, if I get hit by a bus tomorrow, I know I can do that. And if you can do that, you can die happy,
Guys, if you're inspired by this episode at all, and you want to get your pricing right, you want to factor in all those things we talked about, plus the ideal profitability that we see in service industries, which for electricians means you're 50 to 60% gross profit at least with a 20% net. That means for every 100K, you're keeping 20K, able to allocate that to your family, your health, whatever you need as a business owner. That's what makes it worthwhile. If you think that that's somewhere you want to go, then there's tons of available resources for you on top of just this episode. Your next steps are making sure that you're providing flat rate and you're providing choice for your customers, not just in your sales process, but in the options that you present them to shop with you at different levels. Can we just say this quick? And then, Joe, I want you to share the win of the week for just proof of this. Costco is not filled with rich people, is it? It's full of the middle class, and yet they paid for memberships in advance just to be able to go there and spend more than anywhere else. The last time my partner went to Costco, she came home with a $700 receipt, and I was like, what happened? Well, we don't have to buy our favorite cookies for 6 months.
I'd kill that. I'd kill that so quickly. Maple cookies would not survive.
In my house, that'd be like proof. 6 weeks.
Yeah, done.
And that's just proof that there's different buyer archetypes and that your options are going to serve them with choices to work with you at different levels, from the most permanent to the most temporary solutions you could provide. And if you do that, it won't matter the price. And Joe's going to tell you a quick story right now about one of our guys who just proved that with a massive win.
Awesome. I assume we're talking about Charlie, correct?
Yeah, man.
Awesome. I am so proud of our client, Charlie, because the thing was, when he first started, he was as anti-options as you can get. Like, it was like, I don't do options. That's salesy. I'm just going to do this. And, I respect the guy for it. He's got his opinion and stick to it. But I did everything I could to show him the value of options. And eventually he got to a point where he's like, no, I'm only doing options. I love that. So we made a huge shift. But the win that he made was that he went to a competitive call and was in an apples to apples comparison situation. And he sold an ultra platinum, meaning that he had sold the best of what he could get. It was like a $35,000 platinum. But the huge win isn't even the number. It's that in an apples to apples comparison scenario, he was $10,000 over the next quote. And they still willingly chose him, and they were happy about it. Like, they were like, I'm choosing you because of this. And the ultimate win behind that is he invested more time with this client. He offered them more choices. He gave them better, understanding of what they had. He explained the benefit of why it's going to benefit them now and later, and tied it to personal and emotional reasons. And the customer just saw a clear win. Like, if I go with him, not only did I win in this capacity, but I'll have more of what I want, and I deserve that. And that is the ultimate thing.
It's huge.
First sale. It's just the first sale.
Mm-hmm.
Wonderful.
It changes the mind. It changes the entire perspective that you can do the same, for the most part, the same work, same material, same
everything.
Do it at the price that you set, and find the customers you want, not whoever's going to pay the cheaper rate.
One of our great guys, Nathan, started his business March 1st. And April 2nd was on the podcast, shotgun client interview with a $75,000 first month following these principles verbatim. Talks about it on the podcast, guys. If you're interested in that, come find us, $1 Million Electrician podcast. We're also on Facebook groups, $1 Million Electrician as well. And you can find out more about Joe, myself, and the team at serviceloopelectrical.com.
And that's a wrap for today's episode of the $1 Million Electrician podcast.
We hope you're buzzing with new ideas that charged up to take your business to the next level.
So don't forget to subscribe, leave a review, and share the show with fellow electricians. Together, we'll keep the current flowing.